Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining this session 2, as a part of final concluding ceremony of 10th year celebrations of Carbon Lab. So this session, as we know, is based on the panel discussion, and the topic of the panel discussion is research collaborations and way forward. And who can talk better than the research collaboration than our collaborators itself. So that's how we have all of our IIT Hyderabad collaborators with us to join us as panelists in this panel. We will start with a brief discussion about the topic, and then I will request all the panelists to share their views, which will be followed by the cross discussion. And I will have some questions to individual panelists. And then we will take the questions from the audience. And finally, I will ask all the panelists to summarize the discussion in their own words before I wrap up the session. So that is the whole day plan, whole session plan. So, well, as I mentioned, research collaborations, as we can see from our own experience in the Carbon Lab, that is the key for the success. And there are many do's and don'ts for the research collaboration. Many times it happens that there is a complementary expertise available next to your door. However, it doesn't sustain for long. So there are various things one has to remember while going for a research collaboration within and outside the institute, nationally or internationally, academically or at the institute or at the industry level. So this is all which we will discuss in today's session. Today we have, as I mentioned, all our IIT Hyderabad collaborators. Professor Prempal could not join us; he is traveling, but we have Professor Subha Rath, Professor Saptarshi Majumdar, Professor Kishalay Mitra, and Professor Mudrika Khandelwal. And out of four, two of them are from the same department, chemical engineering, while Dr. Shobha is from biomedical and Dr. Mudrika is from material science. All of them have been part of this journey of Carbon Lab from almost 7, 8 years or even 10 years since beginning. And this is how we can show that this is a sustainable collaboration over the years. We have been able to not only just publish the joint papers, but also guide the students jointly. So I would now request Professor Mudrika Khandelwal to introduce her and uh, speak about this whole idea of the research collaboration. She is a faculty in material science, and she has been collaborating with Carbon Lab almost from last 6 or 7 years, if I am not wrong. Uh, so, Professor Mudrika.
Thanks, Chandra. Good morning, everyone. And so, ever since I think I joined IIT Hyderabad in 2013, and 2014 was the I think first time we wrote our proposal together for DST UKRE. Got first student as a collaboration, and from then we have been continuing research through at least one student. I would say at least because there would have been times when we have been co-guiding a couple of students also together and I think it's been great because we have explored together several dimensions of energy, healthcare, environment, and in particular pertaining to nanofibers, be it carbon, the black stuff, or white, the cellulose white stuff. So yeah, it's been very nice journey so far. Thanks for all the opportunities. That's all I would say now, and I think I'll reserve my comments for later.
Thank you, Professor Mudrika. May I now request Professor Subha Rath, who is faculty. In fact, currently he is heading the biomedical engineering department. Very nice to see you in the administration role now. And again, we have very long collaboration with Professor Subha Rath. We have already graduated a PhD student, and second joint student is underway. We are also having a joint project. In fact, two projects with him. So may I request Professor Subha Rath for his opening remarks?
Yeah, thank you, Chandra, for your comments. I think I'm very grateful to all of you and including the Carbon Lab members to be in this platform. For me, actually, the collaboration and this friendliness is spontaneous, but there is should be always a good partner in the other side to make it happen. I am very grateful that our diverse backgrounds come directly into play from the very beginning when I joined in 2013, and your welcoming nature to the collaborations without any terms and conditions make it very spontaneous. I think all the time you are very flexible and reliable to me, and I feel as if your love is my love actually sometimes. Yeah, and other questions I'll answer with a due course of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Narayan, for your kind words. And now I introduce Professor Kishalay Mitra, who is also currently heading the chemical engineering department. Uh, and he has been a long-term collaborator again, and also as a friend. He has been a part of this Carbon Lab journey almost from last 7-8 years. So may I request Professor Kishalay Mitra for his opening remarks?
Thank you, Chandra. So, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So, means wonderful journey, Carbon Lab, as I had the opportunity to talk to most of you in the morning session. So, it means it's a means dual thing for me how to define myself as collaborator of Carbon Lab. Okay, so if you see in terms of projects and all, probably will not find me anywhere, but then I would treat it as probably I'm mental collaborator of Chandra and Carbon Lab. So in that way you're very closely connected, but having said so, I can say probably hardly you can count uh, any student of Chandra whose committee I have not sat through. So it is that kind of bonding. So I am very well versed about the complete journey of Carbon Lab and most of the work going on in the lab. But then probably means waiting for the right moment when probably we'll be able to write something together for the Carbon Lab as well as my lab, Gokul. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kishle. So we are still waiting for Professor Saptarshi. He is having some issue, so he will be joining very soon in next couple of minutes. Then I will introduce Professor Saptarshi also. So let's take this discussion forward. And I have a couple of questions which are common questions, and I would be requesting everybody to comment on that. So my first question to all the panelists is, which is quite general, that how would you like to define these collaborations, and how do you think that academic collaborations they are different the industrial collaborations? So may I start with in the reverse order, Professor Kishle, because you have been associated a long time for the with the industry as well.
Okay. So the question is, how would you like to define the
First
collaboration?
of all, how do you define the collaboration at all? Like you said that we have not published any paper, right? We have not any project, but we have this collaboration, and then basically, how do you differentiate the academic collaboration than the industrial collaboration?
Yeah. So the collaboration is not only working together. So that is what probably the place where we can start our journey. So it's like means sharing many things. So collaboration does not really mean that we have to work on a particular problem. So for example, if I take the case of mine and probably the Carbon Lab. So I myself got influenced in so many sessions by the activities of Carbon Lab, or probably I could sat through so many presentations of Carbon Lab through which I came to know a completely a different problem, which is probably not in my domain. How can that be treated? And then who knows? Probably my thought process got influenced by that process also. When I define, say, a completely different algorithm, means which can be influenced from a different domain altogether. So in that way, collaboration is probably more like mental bonding, if you ask me, and sharing of thoughts. okay, at different levels. So it would be, I would say, a fortunate thing if two people or two or more than two can get a chance to work on a particular problem. But in most of the cases, collaboration happens with people from different domains, because each one of them generally tries to bring upon something extra to the collaboration, which is probably not possible without him or her being present there. Okay, so that way I would say that collaboration is more like mentally getting connected than solving a problem. So probably this is a little different thought which I'm talking about, but then others will be directly talking about then direct collaboration. And the second question was, you're asking that how the academic collaboration is different from the industrial collaboration. Okay, so academic collaboration, it's like means almost like hostel one is talking to hostel two. Okay, whereas academic versus industrial collaboration, it's almost like IITH is pleading the means Patancheru area not to pollute the campus, but it is getting polluted day by day. Okay, so it's like how do you know each other? Okay, so when we are talking about academic collaboration, we just think of at least uh, two people who are working, they know about their culture. Okay, so but then when you are collaborating with an industry, then there is a major mismatch between these two agencies, okay, or these two thought processes. Academia tries to think in their own world, whereas industry is having a lot of burning issues, which the problem they're going to solve. So they think like that probably people who are sitting in academia, they are the magicians. So if we go there, so basically the question is what they are doing by sitting there. They're as if they're the problem solvers. They know everything, whatever is there in theory. But if you think like our knowledge is limited, so we are probably specializing in a particular area. We know even within that area very small amount of things. Okay, but then the practical problems are interdisciplinary in nature, whereas industry people have a thought like that if they somehow solve the problem at their own level, then it is fine. But if they cannot solve, then probably they can go to academia, and they have an expectation that if it goes to a collaboration, probably it will be solved also. And there the mismatch happens. So I would definitely say that industrial collaboration is basically a very difficult match between two partners, where almost like one partner does not know about the other partners. And specifically, this is very true in Indian scenario, where this kind of culture is not very much there in place. Okay, so because you just think of you're trying to solve a particular problem when you need to own the problem. Both the parties need to own the problem, so that suppose I know it's a very big problem, but out of which a small part which can be solved by academia. So I should probably sort that out and give that part only to the academia instead of expecting the academia to solve the entire problem. So this kind of mismatch quite frequently happens in industry collaboration, whereas in academic collaboration, things are pretty okay. It's more like individual ego problems and those kind of things. Otherwise, both the parties are at least in the same technical framework. So I would approach it in that way. If you have any other specific question, I can probably answer.
Oh, thanks for explaining this from your perspective. May I request Professor Mudrika, because you are the one who is doing academic collaboration as well as at the same time you are quite active with the industry. So can you elaborate on that? That how do you find the difference in the academic and the industrial collaborations?
Yeah, I think there is a huge difference, and in particular, when you talk about, let's just think it from the perspective of the objective of an industry versus objective of an academia. An industry would, of course, it's meant there to be to make business, right? So there is a money involved, there is a strict timeline involved, and I do not blame industry for that, because that's what makes them industry, that's what makes them business, and that's what makes them viable. But I guess when we talk about academic collaboration, uh, there are no borders. So it's not necessary that two faculty or two students who are talking in collaboration, they would only limit themselves in talking about a certain aspect which is written on the paper or something like that. I think it goes a lot beyond, which is the beauty of it. And I always believe the vagueness is the beauty of life, and that's what lies with academic collaboration. While with industry, I mean, you're put into a mold and that's what you're supposed to give out. So I think it's important that we have a critical balance between the two, because while the academic collaborations would unless your will help you unleash your creativity, expand your wings, while the industry will keep you grounded and ensure that you reach an objective. So yeah, so that's so in summary, I would say that academic collaborations are very important for us scientists, because your brain, you cannot predict. I mean, tomorrow I have an idea. I mean, there have been times when I have called people here, particularly I would say Saptarshi. I mean, I had a brainwave about something and I called him up. I know he's quite busy as a dean, but I called him up and said, Saptarshi, I had this idea about medicated chewing gum, and he was like, okay. And then we critically discuss that idea, and then I mean, that's important. That's what is collaboration. You don't need a joint student, you don't need money to be there. The stakes are only the interest, while in industry the stakes are much larger. That's all.
Thanks, Professor Mudrika. So we have now Professor Saptarshi joining with us, and as Mudrika already mentioned, he is busy man. Uh, I call him Dean Sir nowadays. So Dean Sir has joined, and the question goes to him because he is also he was also associated with the industry from long time, and even now he is collaborating with the industry as well as academic institute. So Professor Saptarshi, how do you find the difference between the academic collaboration and the industry collaboration, and what is your take on that?
Can you please repeat the question again?
Yeah, so my question is that what difference you find between the academic and the industrial collaboration? What is your take on that?
First of all, let me apologize for the delay. Actually, I'm extremely sorry. There was a fire incident in my building just one day back, and there is an inspection team coming for every flat to see the things, and that is the reason I was a bit delayed, and extremely sorry for that. So, thanks Dr. Chandra for calling me, and thanks all of my colleagues and participants who are there. And what Mudrika has almost answered this question very nicely, that for academic collaboration is that way. There are two types of collaborations, where what rightly Mudrika pointed out, there is no need for any formal thing. Mudrika and I don't collaborate in any of the works, but then we can always discuss with each other, always have a sharing our excitements, and that excitement is scientific excitement that is binding all of us together. That's a beautiful part and sweet part of academic things. And if an academician is not doing it because of deanship or HODship or the directorship, I think better not to do all these things, because if it is coming and infringing to the fundamentals of an academics. I personally humbly feel that. So nice that Mudrika mentioned that, and I like those discussions so much that it makes a day. So that's the beautiful part of academics. So this is one there where knowledge is the only charter, nothing else. We are discussing, we are excited, we are to discuss, and a person who is answering the question, he or she is learning. Person who is asking the question, he or she is learning. It is a learning together we are having. Sometimes I am learning, sometimes somebody else is learning more. That's the only thing. So that's the good part of it. Another part of academic collaboration is that where you do a sustainable level of work together, and for a long term, say for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line. Academic long terms and industry long terms are very, very different. So times biggest difference, what I feel, 10 and a half years, I'm right now standing just half. 10 and a half years in industry, 10 and a half years in academics. So I am just standing at the mid of my career that way. Of course, needless to say, if I survive little more, I will be towards more academician. So for today, I am standing exactly at the half. So another 6 months, I will enjoy that. Then I will become more an academician than an industrial person. So what I feel that biggest difference between industry are basically the time scales. For industry, if you talk anything more than 3 years, is something they will faint after hearing that. Now, 3 years is too much for them. Okay, so Tata Steel projects, Dr. Chandra knows very well, and Dr. Kishalay also is there. And for getting a project more than a year is a big thing. And 1 year is something, that's the project. That's the time for a project like. Yeah. And where is nothing for academic projects. For any other DST, DBT projects, 1 year में तो project शुरू होता है. So that's the time scale difference. What I felt that biggest difference between the academics and the industry, the way they think, because industry is natural. This is natural process because industry is completely hooked up by their deliverables. They have their answerables. Every year the budget is different. Every year they have different compulsion, financial constraints. Their performance is completely different. Charters are different. So their things are quite rapidly changing in industry because they are sensitive to market conditions. But then academics is not sensitive to market condition. That's the reason behind this change in the time scales. Now, with this time scale, academic collaboration, what you do is having a long term. So even give an example, if you want to develop certain kind of material, which is an ideal material for a scaffold development. So two professors, one maybe having an experimental ideas, one maybe having simulation ideas coming close together and can have develop a lab facility, national facility for say 5-10 years down the line. And at the end of 10 years, both of them are important person in the field. So that's the way academic collaboration should grow. Academic collaboration should not mimic the industrial timescale. Then it is defeating the purpose. We are not industrialists. We have to think that if two academicians comes, it's more of an opportunity. Important part is sustainability. Important part is that long term. What is the long term goal? Let us take a challenging problem, grand challenge problem, and both of us, or two of us, three of us, or four of us together are meeting the challenge at a 5 years, 10 years down the line. That's the way academic collaboration should be, and that industry cannot do. We will be complementing industry, rather we'll be helping society to go ahead. Okay, because industry will follow academics. If academics innovates, industry will be applying that tomorrow. So that's the way it should be. And now in industrial collaboration, when you do, then things are you already know the area, you already know the aspects, you already know the different gametes of the entire problems, and you are taking a part of it and giving a quick solution, quick fix, so that industry can benefit quickly out of it. So I feel that both are research, both are intense research. One end, your time scale is little long term with a grand challenge objectives, and one is your time scale is a short term where you have a shorter objectives, but shorter is not a bad one, because that is the ultimate practical application through which society moves. Because academicians may end of my life, I may have 100 such innovations in my lab, but end of the day probably one came to the industry or the reality. So this one is the ultimate, which is seeing the day of the light and which is giving the benefit to the society. So this short term is also important, where you are directly impacting the process and the market, and the long term is also important, because if you don't dream, then society cannot dream. You have to lead the dream. So that's the only difference I feel.
Thanks a lot, Professor Saptarshi, for elaborating this with your experience and in the simple and direct words. And I like the timeline difference. For industry, there is nothing like 3 years project. And for academia, there is again nothing like 3 years project, because 3 years project goes to 6 years by the time you start and finish it in terms of funding and settlement. So yes, timelines are absolutely different, and expectation deliverables are also entirely different. But both are important, and both have their importance at their own place. So with this, I move to the next question, which I have, and I will start with Professor Subha Rath. So a country like India, we have, of course, limited infrastructure. And I would say not only just limited infrastructure, but more time goes on the repair, maintenance, and all that. So how do you think this collaboration is one of the way which can solve these kind of issues, and how this collaborative approach can share the knowledge, skills, equipment, facilities to make available for other institute, other researchers for the mutual benefit? Professor Shubha.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, the collaboration is nothing but about a common goal with identifiable sub goals, which is managed by 2-3 persons differently. So many times, while achieving the sub goals, though the main person or the PI directs the other persons, it is upon the collaborators to manage this work nicely. So everybody has a way of doing this work or achieving these sub goals differently. So in that time, all these research equipment or the manpower or other resources which can come to achieve this sub goal plays a vital role, and each collaborator has best to know how this his or her resources can come to play to achieve the sub goal. So I put a lot of value to them, and sharing them makes everything easier. So again, here I would like to put a nice book, if anybody has written from Adam Grant's about give and take. I think I highly recommend that book. It is one of the best book in 2013 when I joined it actually. Give and take. So it means as a group or collaborator, the always the person wins who gives, but there are of course few criteria. So that criteria fulfilled, they always wins, and that's why even the output, whatever way, as a product development or having research papers or getting grants, all things comes in a very win-win situation when the person gives or shares this stuff. Okay, I would like to listen others' comments also related to this. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Mudrika, would you like to comment on this? What about sharing the facilities maybe a way for effective collaboration and the share and knowledge transfer?
Yeah. So I think it's very difficult. If we look at the past also, since we all started as human beings, I think possessiveness has been a very much of a trait of mankind, unfortunately. And along with that comes the fear also. So I guess if the facilities are not being shared, it's particularly because of these two reasons, that we are possessive and we fear that the thing will stop working tomorrow and it will not be available to me when I need it. And one way to mitigate this issue would be to ensure that that there is someone, I don't know who that someone is, but there's someone who is looking after those things in a centralized way to ensure there is no subjectivity associated with those things. So I mean that was a little bit philosophical detour to your answer to your question. I strongly believe collaboration is very important because if we weigh the impact of collaboration, that's in terms of output, not the number of facilities one creates. So it doesn't make much sense to, let's say, have 10 of in a kind of equipment in a campus, but it is more important if you can generate 10 technologies out of that same equipment on a campus. So I think going forward, which is already a very positive change that we are seeing in the academics, we always blame that we always see industries in a very negative connotation, unfortunately. Maybe because they are making money and that's what they're supposed to do. But I think the negative thing associated with academics is that we are possessive about our equipment, which we need to let go. And we need to open up, which is happening very well. And that I would say is also the basis of the collaboration that we are witnessing here today. Uh, I mean, so I think why we are celebrating this day, why Chandra has made the effort to invite all the collaborators here to talk openly on this platform, is a very signature that there is an open collaboration that exists on this platform. And the very basis of that is to to make things available to each other. So I will just say that it is very important.
Thanks, Dr. Mudrika. I go to the next question and I will take it to Professor Kishalay. Uh, so, do you believe that more collaboration in the research, greater are the chances of so-called success? And can you share any of your experience in short on that?
Oh, I sure agree with this statement that the more collaboration in research, the more the chances of success. Uh, this is as simple as that, for any complicated problem solving, it is not like that everything you'll be able to do. Okay, the overall, in a entirety, if you try to solve the problem, probably your expertise allows you to solve a particular component of it. Then what about the other components? So those components are definitely going to come through collaboration. Say, for example, I can take my case that we do a lot of algorithm developments which works on data. Okay, now that clearly says that we have clear dependency on data. So unless we get the data from some place, uh, means it might be limited number of data or a high number of data, that's a different aspect altogether, but then I have a clear dependence on data, without which our probably work cannot survive or cannot proceed. So in that way, of course, when we are trying to solve problems, so means we are doing database modeling, we have some limited number of data from say libraries where from we can take them and solve them. But then probably with that set of data, you cannot really publish because that has been used by others. So then you need to find out similar real life data from somewhere else. Okay, so in this way, at least from my domain, I can clearly tell you that means since we try to solve a relatively general problem, say for example database modeling, which is much more generic in nature because that data can be coming from anywhere. So in those cases also, not even for a specific problem, but in generic problem where we are trying to do data modeling, there also we have a very strong dependency on components of it which needs a strong collaboration with collaboration partners.
Thanks, Professor Kishalay. So yeah, you are right. Data, and in fact, data is the new oil. That is what people say nowadays. So we all are looking for the data, and as a data management, you will be there, definitely there to help us in various aspects. So I move to the next question, and that I will take to all of you. That's something very specific to the Carbon Lab. So may I start with Professor Saptarshi? So how do you think that Carbon Lab collaboration is benefiting you in terms of your own academic and research perspective or progress?
Yeah, so yeah, it's a question with a nostalgia. So it's not a question to me; it's a question with a nostalgic angle to it. So it has benefited in beautiful way because see that it's not only association, Dr. Chandra. It's basically not only collaboration. It is something beyond collaborations. I would say that today my labs. The lab I am working with. So in that lab, if there is a financial issue that is been sorted out by Dr. Chandra. So basically, give an example. Some fund is there where both of us has 50-50 share. He told Saptarshi, you need little more money here, so you take little more this, and you first spend, then only I will spend. So it's not just a collaboration. It's somewhere fundamentally something is stitched. So somewhere things have been such a relied upon. When Chandra was in US and that time we got the new lab in the main building. He comfortably go. He knows that Saptarshi will be taking care of his as good as his own lab. So then ACs and all these things are in a problem. So we sometime he was working, sometime. So it's a continuous means exchanging of warmth to each other. So that's something which is beyond any collaboration. I think that's the most fundamental part of any collaboration. I feel don't collaborate if two persons are not having similar thought process or having some common fundamentals to share together. Because expertise will come, expertise will go. Those collaborations will be very futile. Only 1 or 2 years it will sustain, and then it will be just vanishing. So important part is that at least the two people should be having an understanding. And I only pray to God that such understanding with the Carbon Lab, with me, should continue forever till the point we exist in this world. So that's the only thing. So that's first of all, this is the nostalgic angle, and this is something which I cherish always. Any problem comes to the lab, be it Dr. Chandra, be it Dr. Main, I usually discuss with each other. So I know many of the problems of his lab. He knows many of the problems in my lab. And though he or me, I am not related to those problems. But then we share, we discuss, and many times, even I'm telling you that presently my deanship, many discussions happened with Dr. Chandra, which I felt that is something very important, and I proposed that thing in the dean's meeting, and it got implemented. So those things are much beyond the normal collaborations. That's one. This is a very important. Second important part is the technical part of it. Technical part of it. See, India. When I was basically facing my professor's interview and in front of me, the IIT Chennai's last director, Professor M.S. Anant, and our former director, all were sitting. one of the questions they were discussing with me actually, that what is your take on it, that how will we elevating ourselves to the world best labs. Okay, so I was confident, and that day was, some day you will feel that your ball is coming to your in mid of the bat, and you are making a very nice cover drive, and sound is very sweet your every stroke. So batsman knows that it is the day, and that day was my day. I don't think there is 99% things I tackled means with full confidence, and so I was as usual without any giving flaring answer, that I don't feel that we are anything less than any of those colleges. I have everything now to do the work. Okay, so then they were not happy with me, because they told, no, you don't know MIT, you don't know Stanford. You may have one equipment which you are proud of, and you say you have everything. There are multiple of that. Okay, so they have a network. That network works. It is not that faculty is working there. It's a system works. So that system is different than our Indian system. Okay, so that is something I agree. And India, that biggest difference between the MIT, Stanford of and Indian systems are that here there is no system. It is individual efforts and individual success. But that's where we are weak. That's where individually we can do great, but this overall system wise we are failing again and again. So if you ask me, that collaboration with Carbon Lab is gave me the network. Now we can say that Dr. Chandra, myself, even not only that, Dr. Deva, all now we have a sufficient amount of experimental network, and we are seamlessly maintaining that. Today, Dr. Chandra is having any need for the equipment that we have. There is no restriction. It is as good as my own students are doing. Same thing with Dr. Chandra's lab. The moment I need certain experimental help from his lab, I know that's as good as his lab. So alone we are very weak. But what I felt with Carbon Lab is that the maintenance of a huge network, that network is having the equipment, the network is having the thought process all together. And when I see the totality, in totality, what we have developed, what Saptarshi has developed is okay, that is his own place. But when even what we have developed, that is something significant. We can say that at present, our lab is having all sorts of sophisticated equipment for polymer research. When I say that we have this comprises of Carbon Lab, this comprises of the lab I am working, this comprises of Dr. Deva Prasad's lab. So basically, it's a unification, and that of course led by the Carbon Lab, because the kind of work Carbon Lab has done and kind of contribution Carbon Lab has made, in this entire network, they have a lion's share. So I feel that as a collaborator, I am very much beneficial, both philosophically, materially, and I feel this kind of network we should maintain, because until otherwise we maintain the network, I think we cannot compete with the top college. See, competing with top college, QS ranking, these are all words, and important thing is that how we will be achieving it. One of the way to maintain this, that you maintain a network, you maintain a system where we is more important than I, and then we are much stronger. We can compete any point of time. The SACS result, what we will be having in Dr. Chandra's lab, Carbon Lab, is no different than the SACS result in the Stanford. So fundamentally, what they can do, we can do, as long as we have a collective system and a system which will facilitate each other to work together. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Professor Saptarshi, for your nice words. May I request now Professor Subha Rath to take the same question, that how does he think about the Carbon Lab collaboration and how it's helpful for his own academic and research group?
Thank you. So not only I first agree with what Saptarshi told actually. So actually his words are very knowledgeous, and from behind his head that halo comes like Gautam Buddha. The knowledges are very nice actually. That network thing is actually only difference between foreign university and Indian university. And this is actually told a chain is as strong as the weakest link in the chain actually. Okay, so many times in the collaboration, whatever the weakest link is there, that defines the strengthening of the whole chain. So these networks are very important for anybody. And luckily, though until now I never fully understood what is the subject area in chemical engineering department. Just to tell in a kidding way, I always tell that. But whatever in biomedical engineering, I need a problem, whether let it be chemistry, material science, or something. I found that in Carbon Lab with a wholeheartedly. So of course, many times I go to Carbon Lab and the students also directly I meet and ask the problem. And I found my exactly complementary knowledge is given by me by the students or the Chandra, and it was solved very nicely. So that's the reason I have actually 2, 3 very nice projects running on, and the only reason happened because of the Carbon Lab, because the knowledge was really complementary knowledge was nicely provided. Okay, so that network strengthened for me. I am very grateful for that.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Professor Shobha. May I now request Professor Mudrika to answer this?
Yeah, so you have asked in two dimensions, academic and research. I would also add, and you can hear the background also.
Mudrika, once again, before you start, I have a humble objection of what Subha told, that there's a hologram or something, he made me dead already. Because sorry to interrupt.
No
No.
worries,
There is
no worries.
what I say, like Gautam Buddha, there is a halo behind your head. Okay, that
Hello,
is coming very
I
halo,
see.
yeah.
No. Hello. No, I understand the hello is there, but all I'm saying that these are all given to the picture. When person is dead, you always make a
No.
drawing behind his head, and
Knowledge is
that
so much
time.
that halo is generated. Yeah.
Thanks.
No.
Sorry, Mudrika. Sorry for kidding.
No problem at all. That's the beauty of this, no? It's okay. So I would add another aspect to it, a personal aspect. And I will start with that because, and maybe a little bit funny actually. Last year, I went to Chandra's office. There was a coffee bottle, David of coffee, lying there, right? Maybe Chandra doesn't even remember that. It was lying there for maybe couple of months, and then I had my eyes on it. And my coffee, I use the same brand of coffee, and that coffee finished in my office. So I just went and got it and told him, informed him that that coffee is with me. And I don't think I've given it back yet. Okay. So when it goes to collaboration, it is important, and it is very good if it goes to your personal life also, because 3 years back, uh, I think when Chandra was away in the US for fellowship, there was uh, some sense of thing that I had, that okay, I should now try to look after the things that he was perhaps taking care of when he was here. When I went into my maternity leave, I was quite comfortable because there were several things that he was taking care of. Maybe, I mean, you will never come ahead and say it, but I do know that. When it is about projects, it's about finances. I don't even look at it. I just, whatever instruction I get, I do it. That's the kind of confidence and dependence. Dependence is not necessarily always negative. I think that's very positive when you know that the other person is reliable and you can be confident about them. So that's the personal aspect of it. It's very important. Just before this session started, I was chit chatting with the students who are here, because what Saptarshi Das said also, there is a connect between the groups, right? So sometimes we even forget that the person on the other side is a collaborator, and that's very important. That's, I think, very good. And last thing I want to say on the personal aspect is that when I joined here, I have learned since then a lot from Chandra, how he executes a lot of things. And perhaps, I mean, we have had our own issues and fights also, but I think that's okay. That should happen between two people who think, right? And one thing that I would say that I've learned is rhythm, how to establish rhythm in life in order to ensure output. Because without rhythm, without follow ups, you cannot get where you want to. So, thanks for teaching me that, how to be in rhythm, how to be at the same time be spontaneous also. Thanks a lot for that. As far as research and academic side go, we don't only collaborate on research. We teach course together. We have written a book together for the outreach to young kids, which cannot happen if two people are motivated to be together to do good, and they have some frequencies which match, and some frequencies have to obviously not match, otherwise there will not be any discussion. uh, And lastly, about research, uh, I think I got this idea from Chandra only, that it is important to focus on the needs of the society. When I came and started work, I was quite lost because I started just after doing my PhD. So it takes some time to think about where you want to develop yourself. I've had a lot of criticism where people say you do not focus on certain things, but I gain a lot of inspiration and strength from what Carbon Lab has been doing. Not just Chandra, I think I should attribute it to a whole lab, and also the discussions that I've had with other collaborators, in particular Saptarshi and Kishalay during so many theses, so many master's theses we have evaluated together, and that's a feedback, which keeps on promoting you to do better and think that what you're doing is right. So thanks for all of this. Sorry, my answer was very long, but I wanted to really emphasize on the personal aspect also of collaboration, because that takes you a very long way. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Professor Mudrika. So now may I request Professor Kishalay to answer the same question, that how does he think that Carbon Lab collaboration? He mentioned that we do not have the formal, but I think in one of the project, Professor Kishalay was the co-PI, and in the morning he was mentioning about this collaboration. We started collaborating with the setting of the teaching lab. So I take it from there. So how do you think this collaboration with the Carbon Lab has benefited you in terms of academic and research progress? Professor Kishalay.
No, actually, means I would say my biggest means return on investment or gain is that I am mentally collaborated. And then all these poor people who basically would be agreeing to that fact that beyond any means physical or tangible collaboration, the main thing is mental collaboration. So means once the mental collaboration is in place, the other thing can happen at any time. So, but leaving that apart, that I told another thing also in the morning, that I'm immensely benefited by the influence of the Carbon Lab, uh, especially on the means work which while publishing. So that is what I was trying to say in the morning. Say 15-20 years back, there was not probably that much emphasis on publishing. Probably what you're doing the same work probably, but then not publishing that into the high impact journals. Okay, so then through his means through the whole means I would say nano storm and nano expertise of Carbon Lab, means Chandra, I would say, brought that culture into our group, and then we were so closely associated, especially the all people sitting here, that we could not escape it without being influenced. Okay, so I take that as a very positive note. So that is what the whole culture of sending your paper with the modified form and take the challenge of publishing them in high impact journals. This thing at least was not there at all in my culture. Okay, so that's what even few days back I was talking to Chandra, the same work probably which we try to publish in Journal of Impact Factor 7, 8 or 9, we would have been probably happy publishing it in impact factor of 3.5, which are the conventional chemical engineering journals. Okay, so I give this full credit to Chandra, and means and indirect influence probably I need not mention, as Mudrika also told, and all of us know, we sat through so many discussions or DCs through most of Chandra's students. So unknowingly, knowingly, we definitely get influence, for which I'm definitely grateful to all members of the Carbon Lab.
Thanks, all of you. So in continuing to this, my next question is, again, I will take it to all of you, that what do you think, how we can further strengthen the existing collaboration with the Carbon Lab? We have seen all good things, but where do we lack, and how we can take it to the next stage? So again, may I request may I start with Professor Saptarshi?
Yeah, thank you for this. I feel that, I humbly feel that the first 10 years is a different journey for all of us, because first 10 years, all of us sitting here, Professor Subha, Professor Mudrika, you yourself, and Professor Kishalay, and myself. All of us are having a journey. We are all the initial members of IIT Hyderabad. So the biggest difference between the people who are joining today and people who have joined 10 years, close to 10 years back. So we were having a dream of building not only ourselves, but also the institute. So we all have contributed in different capacities, and we have built an institute. That's a very big is difference. I still remember when IIT Delhi professor, when I went to this nano mission along with you in Delhi presentation, that person was telling, "Oh, you people are professor at so young age, so your professional, I think what he told, your promotion policy is a bit lenient." Okay. He was very senior, so I didn't want to argue with him. I only told that, sir, first of all, I am not that young. Maybe I am looking like, but I am already having 21 years of experience. So 20 years of experience that time. Second thing I told, sir, we have built an institute. See, none of this, my seniors in any of the IIT has got the privilege of building an IIT. The curriculum to the teaching, to research, the labs, inter-institute, the buildings, even the bathrooms also, Chandra knows. The new campus, when we start the lab, we even designed the bathroom also. Okay, so that's the kind of situation. So I feel that, in that way, that was our priorities, and we have done it along with ourselves. Now, every phase of life, we should have a different thing. I feel humbly for in your personal life, in your professional life. The same 10 years, same objective cannot go. Life is changing continuously. In the first, earlier I was very fond of ghazals. Now also, I was a huge collection of ghazals. But now I statistically have seen I am listening ghazals much less. I am more listening more towards semi-classical, classical songs. Not that I don't like ghazal anymore. I am still liking, but I've seen there is a change. There is a change in me, and that change is giving certain new taste. I'm not saying that it is a going up or down, but that's matter of debate. But some difference is happening. So I feel that next 10 years, let us have the another objective. That objective should be where we can strengthen our collaboration, where we should have a long-term thing. So what we are discussing just a few minutes back, that let us give an example. As a Carbon Lab, you feel that either 2-3 of us, or individually say two, 3 groups, maybe you with me, you with Mudrika, you with Subha, you with Kishalay, like that, or else you are having 2-3 people like me, Mudrika, Subha, Kishalay, like this way. You can make a permutation combination of couple of groups or one group to try to achieve something very long term. So maybe that's a thing. 10 years down the line, we'll build a national facility on this. We'll build a national facility, not only me alone, all of us together, with a common 1 or 2 goals. Now the collaboration should be elevating from 1:1 level to a group level, to a bigger level, so that we can put all of our efforts. And a couple of things will fail, as we are already seeing that not that all of our efforts are getting success. There are many reasons for that, but we should not keep mum or silent. We should keep on doing it. Okay, so that at the 10-year down the line, we have a bigger goal achieved, that okay, we have developed certain national facility, and we are trying to solve 1 or 2 grand challenge problems for the society at a large. So I feel next 10 years, let us again enjoy togetherness with a common goal. This time the institute is already, we have tried to give institute, and we'll keep on doing it. Now individual to a together goal with togetherness, let us enjoy for next 10 years. That's the way we feel that the next 10 years we can plan, if that is an acceptable proposition to all of you.
Thanks, Saptarshi. So yes, I think that sets the goal for all of us. May I request now Professor Mudrika to share her views that how we can take the existing collaboration further and how we can further strengthen it.
First, by removing the word professor in front of my name, I think Mudrika alone is sufficient to be called. I think that will be the first step. Anyways, how to take it forward? I think we all are doing very great. Um, Perhaps we could, yes, I don't want to repeat what Saptarshi has already said. When there is a strong, cohesive network, we must try to solve a big problem in the society. Slowly and slowly, and after 10 years, hopefully, people can recognize us that we were the ones who solved it, and we can be very proud about it that we as a group did it. Yes, definitely. I think we should have some brainstorming sessions, maybe once in 3 months or so, just over a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever, or just online like this, uh, where we do chit chat about our future plan. At the same time, that will also uh, keep us all much more connected and make us more open for each other to talk about ideas. So if we can, if Carbon Lab can facilitate that, once in 3 months or 6 months, I mean, we can think about it later. Um, Second thing is, um, we must have on our agenda what are the pressing needs of country of India, and we can have vision as to how the strengths of the people collaborating in this group can solve that. Starting PBS program is a great start, I think, where like-minded people have come together to address a deficit area. Lastly, I would say that um, actually I don't have much suggestions, to be honest. I think let me stop at that. Maybe hear from Kishleda and Shubha. Maybe they'll have more constructive ideas.
Thank you, Mudrika. Well, professor is something because we are talking about the futuristic strengthening, so that's a futuristic thing.
Are, but I will still remain Mudrika, irrespective of how many years after we are talking about.
So, may I request Shubha? Now, I'm not saying Professor Shubha. So, may I request Shubha to share his view how we can take the existing collaboration to the next level.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for calling Subha. Actually, I feel awkward also, but I don't know.
I can call you head also.
No head actually, but actually that comes very nicely now.
See, I mean, this Carbon Lab is so rich in the collaboration. We have two heads, one dean, you know.
Actually, in the morning time, I was about to tell because we collaborated with the Carbon Lab. At the end, it happened that become 2% become head, one become dean, and like that.
Most important point you don't mention that is there is one chairman.
Oh. Yeah. So actually, I will go back. Of course, as my research, yeah, like biomedical field. So I still remember there is very knowledge enriched one class actually, which attended. I attended of yours and Mudrika's biomimicking class. I remember still that time. So what happened at the end of the class when students presented the PowerPoint, it was so nice for me to listen a completely different background people thinking of mimicking biological structures. Even Mudrika promised me to send all those PowerPoints. Somehow she forgot it is 6 years ago, I think.
Shubha, I will send you for last 5 years all the documents soon.
Oh, is it still running? Huh? Still running.
It's still running. Yes. We
So
developed that into a book also. We can share a lot of content with you.
oh, great, great. You send me the book and PowerPoint also, but that was one of the turning point for me. So what happens, like especially, let us say chemical engineering, you are material science and I am biomedical. When the students come with these ideas, it is our job as collaborators to make them facilitate actually. So I personally know many students from even material science and chemical engineering, BTech students, they go abroad for a biomedical PhD program actually because they're so much interested in biomedical. So, as collaborators, if you cannot facilitate them, then who else can actually? Of course, I am talking about those people who have worked in non-biomedical labs also. I'm talking about that. Okay? So, in that way, when these new students of the biomedical problems come, if I can contribute somehow to make it whatever way, as I say, our aim as academician 3P, product or patent or paper, but we should think that way and make it to the end level, then I will feel that my collaboration is more successful actually. And ultimately, I believe in our student strength in making our connection better. So in that way, I would suggest any kind of ideas come where biomedical component is there where I can do some part, at least what I'm good at, let us say stem cell culture or brainstorming ideas. So we can always think that to take to the next level to make it as an end product. That would my solution. Thank you.
Professor Kishalay, I think that's more pertinent question that how we can take this from so-called mental collaboration to the actual collaboration in some sense. What do you think, how we can go further?
Okay, so we have currently plenty of avenues open. So it depends upon, whether both the parties are getting time or not. So now the strange thing is all the parties are busy, but I will just come over there one by one. See, for at least, so this is, okay, the general thing I'll tell here for the benefit of all the collaborators sitting here, okay, because we are talking about a complete doing something together. So that is for their benefit. But apart from that, means I would say there should be, we can set two kind of goals. One could be long term, one could be short term. Okay, because the kind of things which is going on that should go on. And then fortunately, if I think over the short term goals, then I would say that Carbon Lab, or probably our lab to some extent, we are quite fortunate that we are sitting on a problem called this battery-based transport. Okay, this is going to come up in a very huge way, and it is already signatures is visible from the side of government side. Okay, so on that front, I would request you, whatever way possible, probably if we can go for a center of excellence or trying to set up a very big center through various connections, because you are going to try out all sorts of materials through which probably the future generation can be energized. Okay, and then finally that is going to be in the form of a product which needs charging. And then we have fantastic optimized machine learning based protocols which can give you that what would be your optimal charging protocols. Okay, so and then for that we desperately need real life data. We need data, and you are the data generator. Okay, so in that way there is a direct short-term collaboration possible, which is sort of, I would say, the volcano of funding. Okay, so if we can manage and present it in a nice way, probably there would be a lot of not only government funding, the way government is pumping money towards that, there would be a lot of private funding also possible. Okay, so that is something short term which I thought about. And then long term, of course, what Saptarshi started with, everybody supported. There should be some big problem which we should all together start for solving, and then it should be a very, very high impact problem. So in that way, if we can think of brainstorm, then that would be very good. Some of the things I will just talk about for the benefit of all of us, that means whatever we could explore through the machine learning techniques, that since most of you are the data generators, that we are currently having the expertise for working on different kinds of data. So that data can be static in nature, the data can be time series in nature, and data can be image in nature. Okay, many of cases you generate a lot of images as a result of your data, okay, or as a result of your experiments. So using probably the maximum knowledge available in these sets of data, probably we can do quite a lot of things, starting from modeling or probably hidden pattern recognition from those images or from those time series data or steady state data. We have a lot of components which we were heavily investing time for last, say, 4-5 years to build upon, and most of them are complete. Okay, so I would say those would be enormous opportunities and avenues as well for all of us, where we can spend some time, because these techniques are new. Not only you're going to get a lot of funding in those areas, at the same time you can do something. Say, for example, looking at image, trying to get a pattern out of it, which is not really possible through physical modelings, because in many cases probably the physics of the problem is hidden, or it is very difficult to really unearth that probably how on the basis of physics the whole thing happens. So there probably we have immense scope where we are also currently equipped with. At the same time, I think, means I'm sitting probably with 4 sets of data generators where we can create a lot of collaboration. So with this, I leave it to others. So of course, there is a opportunity of doing something long term, which would be really a news making kind of stuff, whereas other things might be short term. But then, since our technology techniques are all new, we can do quite a lot new things, which would reveal quite a lot of things probably which is not really known to the community.
Thanks, Professor Kishalay. Yeah, I think that definitely there are many such avenues we can explore jointly. So my last question, which is a common question, and that's basically in the interest of the audience directly. So you see, we are a lot of young researchers, and many of them, they will be starting their career in the research independently. In fact, some of them, they have already started, like our alumni. So can you put some light on the dark side of collaboration? How to manage or handle that, or is there any way to avoid that? Something on the negative aspects, negative side of the collaboration as well, as a advice to the student. Again, let me start with Professor Saptarshi.
Yeah, so thanks, Dr. Chandra, for this thing, for this question. See, the negative side is nothing. The collaboration part of it, actually, one thing is we have to always think, as I was mentioning, that, and Professor Mitra also, now let us drop this professors, people are objecting. Kishalay is also mentioning. So, so what I feel that, that this mental collaboration, what he was mentioning, is important. I also told that nostalgic part of collaboration is that understanding. So when I joined it, that I feel if I criticize our past, that we should have done it better. In a couple of cases, I felt that we became a little greedy. That some PhD candidate comes, a faculty is feeling that let me grab it, let me take it. I don't have any. So we always think short terms. We always feel something immediately we should do, so that we can gain some immediate advantage. So this immediate part has many times taken toll on our long term. That's the big problem. So don't go by very short-sighted things. Just I'm meeting somebody, having some complementary expertise. Let me immediately start writing a project and doing this. Don't do this. I feel that if you want to do a collaboration, try to understand the person and the expertise, at least for a year, with an informal chit chat, discussion, and all these things, at least a year. And that may generate nothing, no paper may come out of that. Okay. But then I still remember that though Chandra and myself were from the day one, in starting from the airport journey to for coming to interview, we are together. Both of us came together in Hyderabad airport and came to the institute together to give the interview. But our collaboration started much later. Our collaboration started much later because we took a lot of time to understand each other, kept a trust on each other. It takes time. So what I feel that you try to see, if you have a long-term collaborations, then you try to see if you can understand the person and get a good frequency. You need not be the same person, by the way. Me and Chandra are having 50% exact matching and 50% area where we divergent. That's natural. That's natural. The way he look at the entire life, the professional part, and way I look at it is a hell of a different. It's a phase different. So we fight, we do everything, but then 50% area fundamentals, we are very rock solid. We are together. So what I mean to say, differences will be there, but as long as the fundamentals are same, the value systems are the same, then the collaboration is effective. Okay, so I feel that's the darkest side of it. If you don't commit anything very short term, but sometimes what happens, you need certain collaboration because you need certain expertise to be there. Do that. Then you need not be wait for 2 years or 3 years to understand a person. That's not practical. But then manage that professionally. Then don't bind yourselves emotionally also. Try to manage professionally. Things should be written, things should be well documented, the proper meeting should happen, proper transparency should be maintained. In those cases where you are to compel to do quick collaborations for certain purposes, then you be extremely professional. Transparency is the key of the professionalism, and that you maintain properly. Then there is no personal relation. Even if it comes, it will come later, natural way. Okay, so these two are the things. If you maintain these two for short-term collaboration, that is the transparency and the professionalism, and the long-term collaborations to understand the person before I commit that something can you do together. So that these two are the area where I feel we should be little careful where short-term and long-term collaborations. Thank you very much.
May I request Professor Kishalay? Can you just put your comments on this as an advice to the young researchers?
So I agree with Saptarshi. Two precise models basically he talked about. So one is Indian model where we are emotionally attached with most of the things. Okay, and the another is you can call it as abroad model where we are professionally attached with it. Okay, so means I would say you means pick the correct one based on your coordinate. Okay, so if you are in a different culture, so you have to get set into that culture, and based on that you need to take a decision. If you are in Indian culture, I would say that okay, professionalism works probably everywhere, but then the definition of professionalism is not same everywhere. So that's the trouble. Here we are emotionally attached, so and that plays an important role in our culture. So that is what I was feeling so proud, and I still feel proud that even if I hardly worked with probably Chandra, but I am emotionally so much attached with Carbon Lab and Chandra. Okay, but then this kind of philosophy probably does not exist in uh, abroad world. So if our young students, if they are in that kind of situation, then probably that is more important to keep the professionalism to the maximum extent possible, where emotion probably stands no chance to dictate anything. And you are a professional, as long as your work is there, you're going to do that as a primary responsibility. So I would say that probably, of course, many of such things will come with experience, but then such kind of discussion helps a lot. But try to loyal to your work ethics, because that is what is going to solve most of the problems.
Yes. Shubha, can you comment on that as a suggestion to the young researchers?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So again, I will come to the basic of collaboration where I told it is about a common goal with the sub goals defined by the collaborators. So what I learned in my days in my Germany time, actually as a dad research ambassador, I always tell my German days to everybody. I think I will put forward here that to the young researchers. So we should all understand our expertise and limitations, and it should be clear cut actually, because we cannot say we know everything, and that's the basis of starting the collaboration. So we have to pay respect to each other's also the expertise and how they handle. And many problems what I saw while working with Carbon Lab or other my collaborators, when a sub goal is solved by the other person, it may be managed very different than me. So what actually just now Saptarshi told, everybody is different also 50%. So they manage very different than me, but it is managed. At the end of the day, it is managed, and I learned out something out of that. So instead of coming as I know it all kind of mental attitude, we should come as let me learn something from others attitude. So in that way, we take our problem and try to solve what you know. At the same time, we pay respect to others and then see how they are solving it. So that way, it will come as a beautiful end at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubha. So this last comment from Mudrika on this common question that what are the dark sides of the collaboration, and as an advice, how to avoid or how to handle it to the young researchers.
Yeah. So I think I will maybe because I'm the last one talking on this, I can also touch upon what others have said. Respect, mutual respect is definitely very important. Professionalism is very important. Having the diversity in your collaboration is very important. I'll just add one more point to this, and I might have missed a couple of points also. Is that when you talk about respect, it's a interplay of dependence and independence. To elaborate on that, how much dependent are you on your collaborator, and how much independence you keep for yourself to express your views and opinion on certain thing. It's very, very important. If you feel in a collaboration, marriage is a collaboration, right? I mean, we all live in the world of lots of collaboration. It's important how you also maintain your identity. At the same time, you're respectful enough to the other person's thoughts, their knowledge, and ensure that they also respect yours. For that, I think one thing that we often go on missing is, as we are getting more and more interdisciplinary, is that we don't even try to understand what your collaborator is doing, which I think is a problem. It's not good. I mean, I'm not saying we can excel in everything. We can't, and we shouldn't try to also. But it's very important that if two people are contributing to a paper, for example, or a work, you must try to understand the data results on the other side also, because that will help you gain the ownership and the confidence in the work when you present to the outer world as a representative of the collaboration. So, in summary, my message is that while you collaborate with X, Y, Z number of people, you must also try to understand the output that's coming out of the collaboration, so that when you represent, you do a good job at presenting the work that the collaboration has brought out. Yeah.
Thanks, Mudrika, for pointing this out. And now I would like to take questions from all participants, students, to the panelists directly. So now floor is open for the questions.
Are we only 5 sitting here?
Meeting is showing there are 30. So Akash, question comes. So you can ask directly, or you can even write in the chat box. I can take them. So Akash, question is for Professor Saptarshi. Can you please elaborate on how does the network works at the MIT and Stanford, and how is it different from the approach made by the Indian institutions?
I am not a right person to answer this because I have not been in MIT and Stanford. But Akash, thanks for asking this question. But whatever I came to know from the friends and people whom interacted in those, not only MIT, Stanford, means at least the top US colleges. They are actually, they I feel that the collaboration there are just basically out of opportunity. So basically they just go by opportunity, that whatever opportunity they just shake hands in a cafeteria, two strangers coming, sitting in a cafeteria, shaking hands and over a cup of coffee, and after the coffee or a small brunch or something, they leave. Okay, so basically this is more of the collaborations of they have very long term sustainable collaborations. These things are there, but not as good as what Indians are doing. At Kishalay rightly pointed out that for our case it's more of a emotional thing. Like, give an example, Kishalay not working with Chandra for right now. Even I am right now, Kishalay, me, who are so long friends at present, we don't have a direct collaboration, though most of us, my students, he's co-guide, and he's most of his students, I am co-guide, though we are not working, but that does not mean anything. We are tightly roped to each other. I never feel that whether I'm working or not working with Kishalada, and I'm sure he also. Anytime we can start working. So any point is coming like this. So work or no work, we are collaborators. It is like that. So it is the Indian perspective of the game. So for our perspective, the faith, the relations, those are very important, and we give much more importance to the things. That's the reason we have a solid family structures, though we are destroying it quite nicely right now. So anyhow, but abroad, the biggest thing is that the cafeteria problems. They come, they sit, they enjoy certain types, and they say anytime they can say bye. So I personally give an example, the one of the biggest lab of the world, where as a chemical engineer, I cherish, the highest the H index of any living engineer is from Langer from MIT. Okay, so Langer lab, how can he collaborate? He has already, his lab is having 100 some members, 150 or some members, in which probably 50, 60 are PhD, there are 20, 30, 40 are postdocs, and like that. So he collaboration to his lab means most of the people who worked in his lab now are in different parts of the world, and they are collaborating with their parent labs. So if you see that in those cases, what is happening, more of an opportunity that if I somehow engage myself with Langer lab, my visibility increases. It is not that there is a personal bonding or something. It's just by visibility. Now, give an example. Stanford and Berkeley has come together and made a collaboration in the area of bioenergy. Okay, that collaboration happened, started, they delivered, and then again departed. That is, there is no follow up on that. So basically, either I'm going for certain kind of gain, immediate gain, or I'm doing it for certain kind of complementary expertise. As simple as that. So I feel it's a professionalism altogether. It's basically coming up with certain opportunity and creating certain things, and then say bye. I feel this is one of the this. I am not saying it is good or bad. This is a fantastic model, working very nice in many places. Whereas India, our thing is starting with the togetherness. So this is the only difference, if you ask me, between the abroad collaborations and the collaborations that we are discussing.
Next question, quite interesting, and it's from Akansha. This question is for all the panelists. What is their take and what is their advice for the students who are working in the collaborative projects? Because as a student, they have to deal with the two different supervisors. So who would like to answer? Mudrika?
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a go. We have co-guided two PhDs, one PhD completed, one is on the way, uh, one postdoc together. And I was just counting the number of publications we have had in last 3 years, 15, three and a half year, 15 publications together. And yeah, students, your life would be difficult if you have two guides. It's not easy. It's definitely a lot more responsibility because you belong to two labs, which is very fortunate for both of us because both of our PhD students, they've done it, they've carried forward that responsibility very, very well. They've equally contributed, tried their best to contribute to both the labs. It's difficult. Okay, coming specifically to the advice. One, try to maintain transparency between the two guides in the sense that if you've had a discussion with one guide, you must share with the other one also if the other one was not present for some reason, or other collaborator for that matter. Second is, you should think of them as equal. You shouldn't be like, okay, one is, you're scared of one and one you're not scared of, maybe that happens in our case. Okay, but it's your duty to keep us at the same level because you have to understand that the two collaborators would be talking at a very different view and in various different ways, not necessarily always in specific plan for your work right now. It's not always the case, right? So if you have had a meeting, share your points with both of them. If there has been any kind of interaction, you share it because it's your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the collaborator with which you're talking for. So I think only one very important advice is maintain both of them at the same level of information. That's very important, not just for yourself, actually for their collaboration to flourish in future also, because a small misunderstanding can destroy the relationship they've put in. And we all are human beings. At the end of the day, we may not come down to the same level and discuss every point, and fortunately that hasn't happened with me and Chandra so far. Any kind of we've had clarifications on most of the things, so that issue hasn't happened. But I've also had issues or situations where I tried collaborating with people through a student, but because of the student we could never take the thing forward. So it's a, I mean, we are all talking and bragging about ourselves and collaborations, and maybe how Chandra has been proactive. I must give a huge round of applause to the students the who are actually fructifying the collaborations. Otherwise, they are not useful. See, 15 papers I pointed out because in some sense, all of us are doing for some kind of recognition, some kind of output, right? So it's a good thing when you see there is output, but it cannot happen unless students fructify it. So just maintain the transparency, just maintain them at the same level of information, and acknowledge them both so that they can take this collaboration forward.
Thank you, Mudrika. Well, I never realized that we have 15 papers. That's significant.
And a course and a book which hopefully will be published, and a few workshops. So I think, why am I saying that is, a collaboration should grow in various dimensions of academia. It should not be just research. It must grow in other dimensions of academia, be it teaching, be it outreach, and so on. So I think that's very, very important.
Yeah. May I request Saptarshi to answer this question from the student, that when the student is working in a collaborative project, what is your view on that for the student?
This is a very difficult question, actually, frankly speaking, but right question. I don't disagree, and I feel what Mudrika has answered many aspects to it, and I completely agree with her that it's not only the collaboration should not be only when a collaboration spans more than the opportunity. It spans more than the opportunity and going to other areas like means total academics and together. Then it's the relation between the two persons are much more better, and students will have a better time. If so I'm not discussing about the things where things are very good and you are making easy to manage situations. But if the situation is that it is not that, even if there's a difference in opinion, not that somebody is wrong. If you see a long time perspective, give an example, what if you see a 10 times time span, then you feel what you 10 years back, 10 years time span, in 10 years back, whatever you felt wrong, maybe that is right after 10 years. So basically, it is this feeling right or wrong, or feeling that I'm convinced in something is very temporary for us, because most of the time we don't have the thought process spanning over many years and future. Okay, so it is not that somebody is wrong or right. You have to see together that there should be a common minimum understanding going on. So that means I have this PhD work and I have to do this PhD work. Always try to solve the problem. Give an example, if two guides are there, your job should be to, that even if there's a difference in opinion happening, two guides, you can, as a student, as a researcher, you can make a bridge, not the bridge of negotiation. You are not qualified to do that. What is the bridge? If you are positive, if the research scholar is positive, doing something good, okay, then I think there is the chance of getting difference in opinion between two guides also come down, because many of the cases what I have witnessed is the student who is basically saying yes to one, yes to another one. So if the student is very, very proactive, give an example I'm telling you, though it's not a collaboration example, but how I tackled my guide during my masters. My masters, my guide told that, Saptarshi, you have to do this. While working, I felt I came up with a new algorithm. I felt that that will be better. I told to my professor that, sir, I feel this is no, Saptarshi, Professor Stephanopoulos has done this, and Stephanopoulos is a very big name of MIT. So I think that is only one professor in the world, probably 2-3 engineering streams, he is equally popular. Okay, so he told us Stephanopoulos tried, he failed, so we will not try that. But somehow I was feeling that Stephanopoulos has stopped, but I was having some idea to go it further. But then I cannot say no to my guide. What I did his work. Whatever he told, I did it. And I did my thing also parallel. And finally, I presented it. Sir, whatever you told, I have done it. This is my idea of whatever. I think you see, my idea is better than working than what you told to me. He cannot say anything to me because I have done whatever he said. And at same point of time, I am doing something extra, whatever I feel good. It's a positive way of tackling a situation which is difficult. So if a student research scholar is positive, he or she is talking to both the guides and discussing with them and coming up with a positive vibe that, okay, let me do this. If two guides are saying differently, do both. Try to do both. Try to compare and then present logically what is the things are coming in there. So I feel as long as a research scholar is positive, things will be positive. Therefore, there will be challenges. I'm not saying challenges will not be there, but with your positiveness, most of the time your things will be solved, and both the guides will see, yeah, what I told, that person has done it. At the same time, now whatever final proposition is different than what I told, and there is a result supporting that in evidence. Moment I see what Saptarshi suggested, which is not agree well with Chandra, but then student has done something, and that Chandra's way is much better than mine, but both been done, I have to convince. I cannot say anything else. So I feel that a student should be positive. There may be difference in opinion, there may be many other aspects, but if, as long as you are positive, trying to do best based on your logical thing with a due respect and diligence, that's important. Then I feel any matter can be sorted out. If India is talking with China and avoiding the war, I think these are all silly problems we are discussing.
Kishalay, you would like to add something here?
I would say better to keep a very transparent view among all the collaborators. That solves most of the problems. If somehow collaborators are fighting among one another, then the student cannot do anything. Okay, so in that way, if students think like that keeping something transparent is going to means leading my collaborators to fight among each other, anyway if they're fighting, then student is gone. So from student point of view, it is always safe that keep your view transparent and keep your mails copied to all the collaborators, so that at least you are always with your plate ready. Tell me what to do, or probably I have done this. Is it acceptable to both of you? This kind of. So in most of the cases, I saw that lack of transparency creates the trouble. Transparency solves most of the problem, because in most of the cases, unless they are like-minded, they will not come ahead for the collaboration itself. There should be some, otherwise means totally out of the blue kind of collaboration happens, not very large in number.
Thank you. Thank you. Subha has already answered that. So Akansha, you will get the answer more in the group meeting with Subha. So I have one more question. Ahmed, yeah, you can ask directly.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Saptarshi sir actually mentioned about the Langer lab at MIT, and Robert Langer has been a pioneer in the field of biomedical engineering. But also, I think one thing that the Langer lab has done quite differently is they've had a lot of startups and spin-offs coming out of their lab, which has allowed them to have a lot more impact than it would have if they didn't have spin-offs. So coming to that point, sir, I think given the nature of research happening in our lab, in Carbon Lab, and based on my knowledge of research happening in Saptarshi sir lab, Mudrika ma'am's lab, and Subha sir's lab, and also Kishalay sir's lab, how do we work, as either as collaborative efforts or individually towards, more translational research, wherein we can actually convert our fundamental understandings of different topics to, end products which can reach out the consumers?
Okay, Saptarshi.
Yeah, Ahmed, thanks for asking this question. See, the problem is that our thing, whatever I humbly felt, and initially Chandra, when he started this venturing with the patents, talking with industry and these things, we have a lot of debates, a lot of discussions, but then it was good that Chandra has done that. But finally, I feel Chandra has in the same conclusion of what I was having 10 years back, because that time I already sensed that, see, India, the biggest problem is that support system. See, when you say Langer is not doing anything. If you see, it is MIT culture. It is a culture of MIT. The Massachusetts city, people are many of the graduates just take a garage, and in the garage they start the work, and there are many of them are entrepreneurs. So it's a culture of MIT that's strikingly different from many of the even US universities, that they do fundamentals, they do applications together. It's only strikingly different than any universities in the world. There's so many entrepreneurs they have generated, and nobody can say that they are not doing fundamentals. So that's the area where they are different, and they made a complete different ecosystem. And that ecosystem has several things. Give an example in India. I have seen that only one place, based on my experience, which were having that and they got successful, but then Indian system is great enough to spoil every good things. Right now they are spoiling IITs. Now 7 IIT को संभाला नहीं आता है, 23 IIT हो रहा है, ठीक है. So basically the brand till that point, Tagore told many long year back that we Indians are very good. We get some piece of socks, we cut it, and now we are trying to make a shirt out of it. So that's the effort. Result is inevitable. You know very well what will happen. So there is a Tagore statement seen for almost 80, 90 years, 100 years back. So what we feel that here the problem is that innovation is only one part. After innovation, there should be here expectation is that a professor or faculty has to do everything, starting from getting the idea, working on the idea, taking the patent, doing the marketing, further doing the productization, and then selling the product altogether. This is not possible. Langer never does it. Langer has much easier life than us compared to this. His lab gives up to the prototype formations, and after that some companies are there or some students are there who are taking it, and they also have a support system. In India, only one laboratory which I saw this structure is there is National Chemical Laboratory, Pune, one of the pioneering CSIR lab. If you go to National Chemical Laboratory, you see there are people who are working, and then they have an incubation park where the products are being showcased. Each product has been showcased. So if a person comes to see what NCL has done, that person will be taken to an incubation park where many products are showcased with a history and details. So if I am interested as an entrepreneur to take one of that product, I have a due contact, and they will facilitate my contact to that scientist, and the scientist will give me the know-how. Then how this person will getting a loan, that also NCL will help. Not that it is only technical. Now how the loan will be coming, how the IPR will be, what will be the joint IP, what will be the share mechanism, everything is documented, everything. There are IPR issues. Chandra knows very well. One of the person, I think Balaji also knows, one of the person, I'm forgetting the name, that person is MIT graduate. But that person in NCL, his job is only to maintain this. So he has a team, he's a different incubation park who is maintaining the entire thing, starting from innovation to getting the loan, getting everything. So if there is every standardized things. So all of us know NCL has one of the rare institutions in India who have encashed their innovations and got huge amount of money over last several decades. None of the organization in India, forget about IITs, IITs are very poor in that. So those are capitalizing their intellectual resource and monetizing it in a different way and applications. Okay. So today, when you go to the store and we all purchase Saffola oil and all these things, CSR has an attempt. This was done by IICT. You have this rice bran oil. This rice bran oil is earlier, as se 15 saal pehle, rice bran oil was not having any technology. 1 liter used to cost us 200 rupees per liter. Now CSR has made his rice bran oil, and now we are getting Saffola and all these things 130 rupees, 140 rupees, 120 rupees, even 110, 100 rupees per liter also rice bran oils are available. So this is done by CSR because of the technology, and they have marketed it properly. So you need a system. You need a system. IIT is never having the system. So if we feel that one person will be doing everything, I'm sorry to say, none of us are qualified to do that. That's the area where it will work. I feel IIT can go up to the IP generation. IIT can do maximum the prototyping. IIT can do certain kind of innovation. But making it to the level of applications, the infrastructure, the support system is not adequate to do so.
Any different view on this from Mudrika or Shubha or Kishalay?
Yeah, I'll just make a couple of comments here. Ahmad, actually, when you say about translational research, one way is obviously to incubate, like Saptarshi then explained, the whole ecosystem that is required and so on. The other way is to collaborate with industries, and then the path is, yeah, more difficult, but in the sense that once the output is there, then it is easy for you. So that way also translation research is carried out. So first is the startup, second is the translation research through industries, and then the third point is we need students whose whose work has led to that idea, that concept, that prototype. They must be willing enough to take this thing forward, because I am experiencing that right now, and I have experienced that before also. Many of us who are in academia, we are not necessarily interested into making a business. Okay, and what we also want to stay away from is that we don't want to distance ourselves from the fundamental research and the research path that we take, right? And I'm not saying there is anything negative about doing business, no, but the point is, are we really the right people to do it? Some of us are, and they're making very nice stories also from IIT Hyderabad also. The point is, the student who has created that product, that prototype, uh, they uh, they would make a lot more effort than getting somebody hired to take this forward, because it's their own baby. They will nurture it in the way that no one else can. And today, Government of India comes forward with a lot and lot of grants. But what I feel is, while BTechs generally are more experimental with their careers, the PhDs or postdocs are generally not yet. That is a big mindset change we need to inculcate in the country. Ola, Jugnu, so many startups, Paytm and all these things, they have come out of people who are generally not PhDs and generally not MBAs, right? So that one thing, I mean, as a takeaway message for people like you who are thinking about such questions, who can contribute, is that when you graduate, whether at a BTech or a PhD, if you do develop a product, please try to take it forward yourself. Second, as an alumni, please try to contribute back to the institute in order to develop a fund which can enable the ecosystem further or push the ecosystem further. Yeah, that would be my message.
Okay, so we have a comment from Pujita. I agree with Saptarshi sir. I have interacted with other faculty people who have done PhD from ISC and students here at NIT Calicut. They are building instruments for their own project, which helps in the student things beyond in both translational and fundamental aspect. I believe if we adopt this, it will help further. Okay, so we already crossed the time limit in this discussion. I think we should now wrap up. So may I request all the panelists to quickly wrap up and as a takeaway message from this collaboration to the audience. So may I request Kishalay first?
Okay, so basically collaboration is must, because these days we are not solving the conventional problems. Most of the conventional problems, they've got some kind of solutions. Okay, most of the burning problems with us are pretty interdisciplinary in nature, which is simply not solvable by a single expert. Okay, so collaboration is definitely highly needed, and collaboration has a lot of plus points rather than the negative points. And negative points, if you can figure it out in the beginning itself, we can think of that probably this is not the cup of tea of the two parties who were trying to join their hands. Okay, so in that way, we should ideally identify the collaborators. And in that direction, what I was trying to hint, that we should first try to build the mental model for some time, try to judge whether this kind of collaboration is going to go through finally or not. Okay, and so collaboration is of course needed. We need to choose the partners in a correct manner, and then we should go for it. But then this is for sure, at least from my small realization, that if you target a bigger problem to solve, then collaboration is some way or the other must. It helps you minimum to go up the ladder. Okay, so that's from my side.
Mudrika?
Yeah, I would just say one comment. Remember that it doesn't require physical assets to collaborate. It just requires a thought here to collaborate. So even if you as a student, don't think about that you can't collaborate with anybody here or anybody anywhere. It takes an idea to collaborate. So develop on that and keep yourselves very open. And yeah, I hope we can interact lot more on these things in coming days. Thank you, Chandra, for organizing this, and thank you all the students who have who have allowed me and Chandra to do a very productive collaboration. Thank you.
Thanks, Mudrika. Shubha? And Shubha, while you wrap up the session, I would like to focus on one aspect, because in the whole panel, you are the one who is having the medical background, as well as now you are in the biomedical engineering. So you also share your views and how basically when you interact with the engineers with your professional background in the medical, how do you find it?
Yeah, this is a unique, I don't say problem, unique opportunity for me to be here actually. I think I really, many of my medical colleagues are jealous of me. So what happens in the Indian scenario, my friends who are very good doctors in Hyderabad, they are so busy. So every day they are getting a lot of ideas where they can translate. However, they are not able to get the time and other resources to make it possible. And our engineers are actually the one of the best brains. And for me, the main source of energy is our students. Even the BTech students of different departments, I interacted with many of them. Many ideas come. So as a doctor come engineer in this field, it is my perfect role to make these connections possible. So in that way, actually, you can see all my projects happened because of an idea coming from a doctor where they are looking helpless how to solve it, and we could make the connections properly possible actually. Okay, so that way my role as the middleman kind of thing works nicely, and I hope I understood both sides problems, merits and demerits very nicely, because I did studied in both the like IIT Kharagpur I did my MTech, or in medical college I studied that. The plus and minus points I could understand nicely. And thank you the persons like you or your students which make this dream true. So it was a great time for me. Thank you again all for attending this.
Thank you, Shubha. And lastly, I request Saptarshi to summarize and wrap up. And with a one specific question to answer, that how does he see the perspective of collaboration changing with time? When we start our career as a young researcher, or when we become full professor, and after 15 years, 20 years down the line. So how do you see the change in perspective of collaboration with that?
I feel, thank you, Chandra, for thank all of the colleagues for the nice articulations. And I feel that first of all, let me answer your question and then summarize. That will be better. So I'm not saying answering. Who am I to answer the questions? So I can just give my humble feelings, whatever is there. So I feel that collaboration part is changing definitely, because the major thing what I have seen, that give an example, our generations are a sandwich generation where we have not seen the WhatsApp, Facebook, and everything when you grew up and when you learned we got the degrees. That time it was not there. Our generation is the transition generation from a high-tech society to a high-tech society from a low-key society, that you can say. So now our generation, the collaboration comes mostly with the heart-to-heart thing, what you all discuss. It's an old thought that Subha is also smiling. That means basically our generation is thinking about that the smile is very important. Touch is very important. Smile is very important. Touch means not physical touch, but the mental touch with each other. Okay, so that's very important. Our generation feels. But in present day, people are feeling mostly touched by WhatsApps, mostly touched by Facebooks. So there's a sea change in them. Okay, it is not their choice. The society has given them the way So basically the same thing, whatever we have done, they may not be able to do the same thing because they are not getting so many tests of that. So I feel the collaboration this time will be more of professionals. Basically, we are going towards the model that US has adopted, that mostly with the cafeteria model. You come, you do professionally, see the corresponding expertise, and just do this. So I feel that present day collaboration will be mostly like this. However, as we are Indian, we have a long gene, 20 years or 30 years of mobile should not change our genetic sequence for a few thousands of years. We have a strong legacy of bonding. We have a strong legacy of feeling. So I feel that if you maintain that, what I'm just quoting, 2 times I'll be quoting this Swami Vivekananda. What I felt that when he told that if technology goes, I will learn from the Western world. But if how to live the life is the question, then you should learn from us. We are much master of that. So basically, this gives you the idea that what collaboration we will be going at. We will be doing, as long as technology goes, complementary expertise goes, and a cafeteria model goes, we should learn from abroad, Western worlds. And whenever the bonding goes, whenever a long-term sustainability goes, whenever a society and a touch of personal touch is coming on these things, we should be Indian. We should be proud to be Indian. So I feel if we mix match those, we are better than any models, any existing models we have. So the present generation, where they are already doing whatever Western world is doing, we are same. At the same time, if we utilize our Indian culture, Indian origin, Indian genetic sequence, the same consequence of that, I feel we'll be doing a great work. That's the one. And summarizing again, that this, I think all of my honorable colleagues have summarized it so nicely, that be positive. That's the only thing I'm saying, that problems will be coming. There are difficulties in your life. All of us are having difficulties. So, but as long as we are positive and we want to learn something, if a problem comes, see whether I can learn it or not. If I can learn, I will learn myself. That's the best thing. Self-help is the best thing, best help. If I cannot learn, then I see how to get it. And then the collaboration comes in place. So if something comes on your way, first you see whether you can learn itself or not. If you cannot learn, then you see how to collaborate. And then with whom I am collaborating. With whom I am collaborating, there are two ways. One is through the professional way. If it is a quick collaboration is needed, if it is a long-term collaboration is needed, it's an Indian way of doing it. So there are two ways already we discussed. And then there will be, then if you have a multiple issues like multiple guides and all these things, be positive, try to do things well. And while you want to become entrepreneur, be very clear what you want to do. If you are an academician, you try to say, this is my role. I will be going 150%, but I cannot change the world. Let us not think about that academician. I am also at the same time playing a role of a marketing person. It's not, two expertise are different. Marketing is a different MBA. They have a different expertise altogether. So I feel that if you are an academician, you can go little beyond your normal regular duty. Of course, you can go up to prototype, up to discussion of with the industries, what Mudrika rightly pointed out, or many other agencies. Do your best, no problem. But at the same time, you need to see that who are the next people to collaborate with, so that your idea can go through. And if you are the other person, give an example. Brightest example is from Chandra's lab, the Sandeep Patil. Well, Professor Ashutosh Sharma's all the students, they think about academics, research, so many things. One bright guy who is doctorate from the same lab, he felt, no, for me, academics is not the right way. He started the things from the day one, productization. And in India, electrospin units, he's one of the highest selling units having, and he's a very now a reasonably good businessman. He was very clear. See, the person with a clarity, does not matter what you do. Clarity is important. If you are an academician, you should be clear. If you are not an academician, you want to do entrepreneurship, you should be clear. So person with a clarity will always get a success. That's the last things. And again, quoting my hero, and as always, that arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. That's the most important part. IP is given to Swami Vivekananda. Thank you.
Thank you, Saptarshi. And I think, yes, you have given the right example of Sandeep. And not only the electrospinning, now he is more known for the Swasa mask in this COVID. And I'm also proud user of the same mask, Swasa. and he is making these masks now, almost 30,000 masks per day from IIT Kanpur. So with this, I would also like to summarize. And first of all, I thank all the panelists for their candid opinion on various methods related to the research collaboration and the way forward. I'm sure many of us might have taken some serious notes about the things what we have discussed and learned a lot from this discussion. Not only as a student, maybe for as a future leader in all of you. And as I summarized, we realized the importance of collaboration. Of course, the timelines for the academic as well as industrial collaborations are very different, objectives are very different, but both have their own importance. And then we also discussed that for any collaboration, especially sustainable collaboration for long term, personal touch is something which is needed. Uh, then it was really satisfying for me as a PI for the Carbon Lab that our collaborators have also been benefited from this collaboration, and that's how I think we look forward. And in future, we would like to go with the big problems, maybe kind of center of excellence in the next few years' time, so that we can take these collaborations, which are right now at one-to-one level, to a multi-group levels. And one more thing, what we have discussed is that we need to give some time if we really want to do some sustainable collaboration for the long term. Sometimes it is required to have the need-based collaboration, very specific collaboration, that is all and good. But if you want to really go for long-term collaboration, you need to give time to your collaborator to understand that. So with this, I would like to wrap up the session. And I request all of you to switch on your camera for a while so that we can take the picture. Mitravinda, Akash, Kishleda, Pujita from NIT Calicut. So Omkar, can you just click the picture? Or anybody can do that. It doesn't require the camera. And before we conclude, so Omkar, you have taken? Okay. So before we conclude, now it's time to present the memento for our collaborators. And that's the Indian way of collaboration, what we were discussing. So, of course, it has to be in a virtual mode, and I go for that. Just give me a minute.
Mudrika, camera should be little there, that side, not your side here. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Hi.
So let me share the screen. So this is the fabric which is prepared by recycling the polystyrene on which we have printed, and which is folded just like carbon nanotube. And then inside that there is a light which is, which is basically powered by the coin cell battery prepared from the Carbon Lab. So it's all Carbon Lab indigenous thing, and hope it will enlighten us further, and soon you will receive it. So this is how you will receive it. It goes to Saptarshi now. You check in your inbox. Now it goes to Kishalay very quickly because it's in the same community. Now hand it over to you. And then it goes to Mudrika.
Mudrika's case, ultimately, who will be getting, we all know.
Yeah, you all know, right? So
Who got this moment, we know.
Subha. So Subha, if there is no power at in IT campus, you can use this.
Yeah, yesterday it has no power.
That's how we did it.
Okay, and I hope when the battery finishes, I'll come back to your lab again, right?
Thank you very much, Chandra, and full team. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you actually.
And it's not just one gift; it's a second gift.
So I am using a last time gift by drinking green tea or whatever drinking in the weekend on this actually. I'm still.
but my daughter is using those. But Chandra, we'll get this physically or virtually only.
You will get it physically also. Don't worry about it.
Okay, okay. Is there a provision of getting multiples?
No, sorry.
Okay.
There has to be multiple collaboration for that.
Last time, whatever Subha is using it, but I could not use it. Subha, such a nice the patterns were there last time. You know, I could not use any of them. This thing.
This is the best thing actually. This is best thing because I don't use other things. I know T-shirt will be loose for me, other thing, but this is the best thing. I'm using it regularly. I'm seeing this.
We will give you the right size for the question. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And yes,
Yeah.
so thank you everyone. And just last thing, this whole document for the panel discussion was prepared by Dr. Anil in drafting all these questions. So I must acknowledge Anil for that.
Thanks a lot to Anil. Thanks a lot for the entire team. Thank you all.
Thank you everyone. And all the students, alumni, they are invited to join the next session, session 3, which is informal. And of course, all of you, all the faculty, if they find time, they can also join in the same link. This will be active till 5 o'clock today. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good luck to all of you.
Good luck. Best wishes.
Bye.
Hello, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so let's have a lunch. I'm not ending the meeting. So
my lunch hasn't arrived, Chandra, yet.
Yeah, we could have done in person. We could have a better. I mean, I thought to have the dinner.
See, you know our addresses. You know Swiggy.
I have to go outside now to buy my lunch, buy my chicken or something and come back. Yeah, so.
Bye.
Yeah. Great, actually.
We missed the fun for in-person thing, but I think because doing it in hybrid model also will be taking a lot of logistics.
No, definitely. It is better the current situation. This is better only.
Okay, so yeah, so Shubha, you are going for some party.
Yeah, now I am going actually out. Yeah.
So you know not to buy the chicken, right?
No, but the other things I'll buy. Just I told for chicken. Other things also I'll buy. Go to market and party outside there. Okay.
Okay.
Then.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. So we'll meet again at 2 o'clock.
Akash, hi.